That ain't loud enough. Come on, Hugh. Yeah. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Britt Kent. I'm the owner of Kent's Property Preservation LLC, also known as KPP. That part Hugh got right. You're remodeling and renovation experts here in Tallahassee. I am a recent graduate of Leadership Tallahassee Class 40. KPP specializes in kitchen and bath remodeling along with complete renovations, wood rot, decks, and porches. We also have a complete line of outdoor kitchens and fireplaces and have just recently opened a new showroom, write this down, 650 Bluntstown Street, Tallahassee. Phone number 850-567-1722. Excuse me. Over the years, KPP has won several awards, such as the 2016 and 2021 Wakulla Area Business of the Year, as well as this past weekend, thanks to these gentlemen sitting at this table here, we won the BIA, which is the Building Industry Association of the Big Bend Remodelers Showcase Silver Award of Home Rehabilitation, greater than $150,000. Thank you guys, couldn't have done it without you. KPP is continuously growing and doing everything we possibly can to support our local community. We are glad to be here tonight sponsoring Tallahassee Quarterback Club, and we would like to introduce you to an amazing, talented young man who has accomplished so much in his 33 years on earth. He attended Bayside High School in Virginia Beach, where he recorded nearly 7,400 yards and 68 touchdowns, and was an All-American quarterback in high school. This young man played for Florida State Seminoles football team from 2008 to 2012 and was a member of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity. That's good too. He also became the second collegiate quarterback to win 4 straight bowl games. In 2012, he led the Seminoles to an Orange Bowl win against North Illinois and also led the Seminoles to a 12-win season for just the 3rd time in program history. He was drafted 16th overall pick in the 2013 NFL Draft by the Buffalo Bills. In 2017, he signed with the Oakland Raiders, and in 2019, he was signed by the Kansas City Chiefs. But later that year, he announced his retirement. Shortly after announcing his retirement, he would join the ACC Network as a college football analyst. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. EJ Manuel.
Thank you. I didn't start getting nervous until he started reading my bio. That's funny. In all seriousness, I first want to thank Hugh Tomlinson. I also want to thank the Tallahassee Quarterback Club for having me come out. It's been about, 3 years in the making. Hugh first asked me if I would come and speak. Was it before COVID or just after COVID? Very weird time in the world for all of us, and thank goodness we're all still here. But I just want to say, coming into this room, I'm looking out the stadium, and a lot of good memories out there. One of my most fond memories, maybe it's not as fond, I remember going out on a Thursday night here in Tallahassee, and we all know if you went to FSU, Thursday night is kind of the night, okay? At least when I was in school. And I had the bright idea during the spring to go out, stay out a little late, I guess till 1:30, 1:45. And I was with one of my good teammates. Again, this was the off season. This was not in season. Nobody freak out. It's all good. This was off season. And I was with Anthony McLeod. He's from Thomasville, Georgia. He played defensive tackle, number 92. One of my dear friends. We're still good friends to this day. And we go out, think Potbellies, a couple different spots. Shout out to Pots out here. In all seriousness, and we go and get some food after. And we went to Whataburger, a fine restaurant, all right? Fine restaurant. Especially within the budget of a college student, okay? This is before NIL. I didn't have any money, all right? So we went, and we had the bright idea of getting honey butter chicken biscuits, all right? Great breakfast, but we wanted to have it. I got you. We wanted to have it for a late night snack. Am I too loud, y'all? I'm sorry. Okay. We go and we have our food. We go back to my house. I lived off of Magnolia. I had a house my senior year, so we're hanging out. And again, it was a Friday, or incoming Friday at that point, and we would have an early workout. So normally on Fridays in the off season, Coach Vic Valoria, our strength coach, we do like an easy Friday, kind of like a fast Friday. We work out, we run 110s. It's not too hard. So I was like, I'll be fine, okay. I'm gonna go out, have a good time and eat. And come to find out, he's like, all right, boys, change of plans. I was like, what? And he said, we're gonna do stadiums. I was like, oh God. And my stomach also said, oh God. Because about, I guess, 5 or 6 hours before that, I had that honey butter chicken biscuit. Now, again, I gave full effort, like I always tried to do, 110%. And got through the workout, but I was also on the ground for about, I'd say, an hour after that in the locker room, getting up that honey butter chicken biscuit. So just to, again, give some fond memories. And was that too loud? I'm sorry. No, you're good. Okay. Just a little bit, yeah, because I like to hear my echo. There we go. And yeah, so again, as I come into the stadium, of course, I think of touchdowns, I think of wins, I think of you guys cheering for us. I think of hearing the FLORIDASTATE, striking up the band. Generally, I get goosebumps every single time I come into the stadium. And even now as an analyst, it's really special to come back to games covering our team. And you guys all know where my allegiance lies, okay? Let's be honest. But also, I know thank you, yeah. But I try to be unbiased, so when I do make comments, it's not, oh, you're just a Florida State guy, which of course I am. But, you know, I want people to value my opinion. But it really means a lot to me to come back and still get that warm welcome from all of you. And my wife asked me, would I be nervous, you know, to come do this speech? And I was like, well, who gets nervous coming to talk to family? You know, because this is my Florida State family. And I really feel that way. I see a lot of familiar faces. I see Charlie Seaward. I wouldn't expect you to come, but really good to have you here. And I want to say you were an inspiration of mine since you're here standing in front of me or sitting in front of me. I can remember my dad was a New York Knicks basketball fan growing up. So I knew Charlie Ward as a basketball player, okay? And then as I got older, I then learned of the greatness of who you were, not just as an athlete, but also as a person. And just want to say I tried to follow in your steps as much as I could. And yeah, so let me get back to what I was going to say here. So again, as you introduced me, I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I played high school football at Bayside High. I was a 5-star recruit. The way I kind of ended up at Florida State is pretty interesting. Who remembers Rick Trickett, offensive line coach? Yeah, Rick Trickett, he did not play games. He did not play games. But I guess he had a few favorites. And Rodney Hudson was one of them, who just got inducted to the Hall of Fame, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago against Southern Miss. And I think I was probably one of them too, sometimes. And so I remember I was at a camp in New Jersey, and I remember Coach Rick Trickett, I didn't know who he was, just saw the little short guy, I didn't know he coached offensive line. I was like, man, you coach the big guys? Okay. But found out he was a Marine, he's a badass, I'm being honest. Like, he's a serious dude. And I remember him kind of, you know, let's say I was where C. Ward was, and he was kind of on this back fence, just hanging out, you know. Trick kind of walks around like this, like, yeah, okay. Just watching, you know, looking around. And I remember him calling Jimbo. And I think I was a rising junior at this time. And he's like, hey, Jimbo, you got to look at this kid, Manuel, out of Virginia Beach, man. He's a good player. He can throw it, da-da-da. And so during that camp, I got MVP of that day. And funny enough, like literally the next day, my high school coach's phone was ringing off the hook. And I really feel like Coach Trickett was kind of that one to kind of get that really going for me, even though I got an offer from Florida State, but I also got like 40 other offers after that too. So I ended up with like 51. And the reason I came to Florida State, beyond, you know, playing for Coach Fisher, it was really to play for Coach Bobby Bowden. And, you know, God rest his soul, man, because he was such a special man for me in my life. And granted, I only played for him for 2 seasons, my redshirt year and then my redshirt freshman year. But I remember specifically my redshirt freshman year, Christian Ponder, who was a starter that year, he went down with I think an elbow injury or something after we played Clemson. And Coach Bowden called me into his office, same office Coach Fuller was talking about, and he set me down. Now, mind you, I'm 19, okay? You know, I was a good player, but I was nervous, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, okay, because normally that was Ponder's thing. He would go in and have the coach's meeting because he was going to start that week. And he sat me down and he's like, EJ, I just want you to be yourself. I want you to have fun. You know, Coach Bowden would talk, you know what I mean, that Southern drawl. I want you to just go out there and just have fun. You've been doing good on scout team. You know, you don't do what Coach Andrews asks you to do when you throw interceptions, but because, you know, as a scout team quarterback, you're supposed to throw to a specific receiver. Now I'm like, Coach Andrews, I'm not going to get any better if I'm throwing picks, man. Like, I actually want to complete the football. I was throwing touchdowns on them. Tony Carter used to get mad. Martin Rowe used to get mad. Jamie Robinson used to hate me. I was that, you know, freshman that still wanted to make plays. But in fact, it actually was really helping me. And I remember getting that first opportunity. And like I said, sitting down in that chair in that room with Coach Bowden, it gave me such confidence. And I'm actually getting goosebumps now thinking about it because I remember it like it was yesterday. And what a person to instill, you know, belief, confidence, love, a reminder of who you are, kind of gave me self-worth at that time, because again, I wasn't playing. And sometimes as an athlete, you kind of lose focus. You start to think, man, did I make the right decision? I'm at the right spot. And he just kind of re-instilled that for me. And we went out, we played Wake Forest that week. We busted their tail. I had a pretty good game. And then we played Maryland the following week. We also beat them. Then we played the Florida Gators. I hate those guys. God, I hate the Gators. I hate the Gators. And we did not beat them, but they were pretty good that year, so I'll give them that respect. They had a good team. I want to say they might have won the national championship that year. And then we played in that bowl game. And who remembers the West Virginia bowl game, Gator Bowl? All right. Who was there? Who was at that game? All right, awesome. So I'll tell you what, man, going into that game, you got to think about the moment, okay? As a redshirt freshman, and you're the quarterback of Bobby Bowden's last football game. What? Wow. You know what I mean? Like, okay. What a moment. No pressure, exactly. Literally no pressure. And that's the funny part. Coach Bowden said, hey, man, no pressure. Just go out there, again, have fun, be you. Like, Coach, stop playing, man. I know you want to win this game. Like, let's be real. And West Virginia won bad that year. And I think we were they were pretty good. And we weren't, we had I think we were maybe 7-5 that year, 8-4, an average year. Yeah, 6-6 maybe, yeah. Because we had to fight, you're right, we had to fight to get to a bowl game. We actually were looking at maybe not going. We had to win 2 of those last 3 regular season games to go to a bowl, so thank God we did. And just playing in that game, having success, I actually got MVP of that game. And I remember getting that trophy, and Coach Bowden looked at me, and he said, I told you just be yourself, and look what happened. And literally, I'll never forget that moment. I'm getting goosebumps as I say that, because it really took my career from a spot where I was like, man, can I do this, to hell yeah, I can do this, seriously. And it really just reminded me again, go out there and have fun and be yourself. And so those are some fond memories I have of Coach B. I'll tell another quick story as to why I ended up at Florida State. So our team chaplain was Clint Purvis. I'm sure a lot of you may know who Clint is. I'm not sure what Clint's doing now, but he might be a pastor. He's still around. Okay, awesome. I know he's not the chaplain anymore, but great man. And when I say, Clint has been there for me in moments where I've made some boneheaded mistakes as a 20-year-old, 19-year-old. I'm not perfect. That's one thing I will tell you guys. None of us are perfect in this room, and neither am I. And I can remember Clint literally holding me, praying with me over certain situations, and being there for me, because again, my parents were in Virginia. So Clint was kind of like a father here for me. And funny enough, when I came here on my unofficial visit as a junior in high school, my high school coach, Darnell Moore at Bayside, he was like, hey, whoever prays with you before you leave their university, that's where you should go to college. And I kind of thought about it, like, okay, cool, like, I got you, but what coach is really gonna pray with me, and I grew up in the church, and I've given my life to Christ when I was 13, but yeah, thank you. Well, y'all excuse me for my cuss words, then I apologize. But in all seriousness, I remember we came here on our visit. I had met Myron Rowe, who was a Rhodes Scholar. Great man. I really wanted to be like him as well, because again, he wore 3. He got his medical degree. Obviously, Myron's like a brother to me. He's the head neurosurgeon at Mass General, if you guys didn't know that. Very, very proud of Myron and what he's done. But I remember, coming in and doing that visit with him, and then when we were about to leave to drive back to Virginia, Clint had called my phone. He's like, hey, EJ, you still here? And I was like, yeah, Clint, we're about to go to the parking lot. And he was like, well, look, I want to pray with you before you get in the car. And literally, I looked at my dad, and that was the confirmation. That was the confirmation. I remember we drove about 10 minutes, and I said, Dad, this is it. This is where I want to be. And I called Jimbo, and I said, Jimbo, I want to be a Florida State Seminole. And so Clint, I would say, had a huge hand in that, along with Coach Bobby Bowden. And I'll tell another story about Coach B. So he came to visit me, back then, I guess they still do now. The coaches go on these house visits, and they come to your neighborhood and have dinner with you and all that kind of stuff. So I remember him coming to my high school. And first off, there was quite a few coaches coming through. I remember Nick Saban, he flew a helicopter onto the field and landed all, like, come on, bro, like, you messing up the turf, man. Like, what you doing? Philip Fulmer, he did the same thing, but thankfully he landed on the practice field, which was much appreciated. And then again, Les Miles at the time, a whole bunch of coaches, whoever you can name it, they've been there. Joe Paterno, all those guys. And then when Bobby Bowden came, it was a little different. And I remember him coming through the hallways. Be honest with you, the school shut down. The school literally shut down. Kids were coming out of the classroom, and this is when we had the old phones. We didn't have iPhones, so you had like the little flip phone with the ugly flash and all that, but everybody was taking pictures with him. And it was just really, really cool. But that wasn't even it. It was more so when he came to my house. All right, now we didn't have a big house, and it was kind of tight. And in fact, I think our AC might have not been working that day. I just remember it being real hot in there. But Coach B was so cool, and he didn't make my mom or dad, who I'm sure were embarrassed at the time, he didn't make them feel bad or nothing like that. He sat right in my dad's chair. Actually, my dad was about to sit down, but Coach Bowden was like, "You mind if I sit there?" And he was like, "Yeah, you go ahead, Coach. You got that. But funny enough, we had a neighbor. His name was Mark, all right? And he lived two houses down from us, huge Florida State fan. And somehow Mr. Mark knew that Coach Bowden was in town. And so sure enough, I remember him knocking on the door, and my mom got it, and I was in there talking to Coach and Jimbo. And he asked like the most random question, like, "Hey, Jackie," that's my mom's name, Jackie. "Jackie, y'all got any sugar?" Mark, you serious, bro? Like, "Y'all got any sugar?" Coach Bowden, is that you back there? Like, "Hey, what's going on?" No lie, I'm not making that up. That is God's honest truth. Literally, Mark walked in, and then like 12 other neighbors in our cul-de-sac came over, all took pictures, somehow had footballs for Coach Bowden to sign. And again, Coach B was super gracious about it, and he signed everybody's stuff, took pictures, and one thing that he instilled again to my parents was that he was going to take care of me, and that Coach Bowden knew that I was raised in the church, raised by a Christian family, and that was one thing that I know a lot of us players always talk about. Seaward, I'm sure you can relate. He would always take us to a church, a Catholic church or a Baptist church, different things like that. So then you can experience, where you can find a church first off here in Tallahassee, but also, for those that may not have been raised that way. And so just bring up great memories of Coach Bowden. And that was a funny story. Mr. Mark actually still has that football and those pictures. So yeah, no doubt. And we didn't have no sugar. Yeah, exactly. We might have little packs of sugar or something like that, right? So yeah, and I want to give again a big thank you as well. I think of Miss Billy Reardon. Where are you? Just want to say hi to you real quick, give you some love. So cool thing about Miss Billy and I's relationship. Obviously, I met her when I was here at Florida State, but throughout my NFL career and even to this day, you still send me emails, just checking on me, let me know that you're watching me on TV. So I want to say thank you again for that. And again, that's what I think is special about being a Seminole. This is really a family in here. You know what I mean? Like I said, getting a chance to come home either for a game or for this moment to come speak to you guys, it's special. And I really don't take it for granted. I'm super thankful. While I was here at Florida State, I learned a lot of things, one of them being toughness. Another funny story, wasn't funny at the time, but against Notre Dame, you guys may not know, throughout that game, I think in the third quarter, I had broken the non-weight-bearing bone in my calf. So I guess that's the fibula, tibia. Which one is that? Any doctors here? Fibula, thank you. And so I just remember, I think we were down at that point in that game, and this was 2011. And came to the sideline, limping or whatever, and sit down. And kind of when you have those types of injuries, once you sit down, that thing starts throbbing and gets real stiff on you. And I told Coach Fisher, and this is why I said the toughness came in. I said, "Jimbo, I can't walk, man. I can't walk. I don't know if I can go." He looked at me and said, "Get your ass back in the game." I was like, "All right, Coach, I got you." And sure enough, I pushed through and, threw some touchdowns after that, and we won the game. And, wild enough, man. So I say I learned toughness. I'm making a joke there, but in all seriousness, this game is not easy. This game is not for the meek of heart. This game is not for those with thin skin. This is a game for people that really love it. You got to really love football if you're going to play football. You high school players are learning that, man. Like, you got to really love this thing because there's so much work that goes into it. There's so much brotherhood, so much time spent to be great. Not just to be good, but to really be great at that sport. And so that was a fond memory that I had and truly just kind of learned and taught me grit. Also learned leadership while I was here. Getting a chance to be a Florida State quarterback alone is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's pretty dope to say, yeah, I played quarterback at Florida State, and I don't care if I'm in Florida, if I'm in California, if I'm in Oklahoma, if I'm in Utah, if I'm in London, like everybody knows who and what Florida State football is. And so that's just so near and dear to my heart. So I learned toughness, I learned leadership. I also got a great education. And I cannot say how important that was to me. Yeah, give a hand clap there, please. One of my favorite professors was Mark Ziegler, and I think he taught rhetoric of didactic literature my junior year, and this was when I was in the School of Communications, got my degree there. And it's funny because that's actually what I do now. And how many of us actually get a chance to use our degree in our profession? And so it's funny, that's how I ended up doing ACC Network. And I'll get to that later on as I speak, but I just gotta say I got a world-class education here. And I know a lot of players now in college are about the NIL and about the transfer portal, which I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I think whatever the player thinks is best for him or her, that's what they should do. Because at the end of the day, it's their career, and they don't want to look back and make any regrets. But I do know the education piece is what you cannot forget about. And I talk about it on TV, talk about it on the radio, you young men, the high school players. I understand there's money, there's all these accolades, but get your education, get your degree. If you can make any promise to me, just get your degree, okay? Please. I don't care where you go to school, just get your degree, because you're going to have to fall back on that at some point. I also learned how to order a drink here in Tallahassee. Again, in all seriousness, just some really fun times, man. I didn't drink growing up, obviously, but I do again remember summer pool parties, going to Chubby's, going to Coliseum, and I tell you what, as hard as we worked here in the football field, it was really cool to go out and and have a good time, because that is also what college is about. This is one of the most cool places to go to school. It's sunshine. I'm from Virginia, so we didn't always get the heat and the sunshine like you get here. And respectfully, there's a lot of beautiful women here as well, so that also made it very easy to come to Florida State. Again, just being very honest. But to get to the story about how I became an ACC Network analyst, my sixth year in the NFL. So my first 4, I was with the Buffalo Bills, as you all know. My 5th, I signed with the Oakland Raiders, and our head coach was Jack Del Rio. Now he's the defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. They fired Jack at the end of the season, and actually I was like, dang it, because I had a good year with them. Like, I was the backup for Derek Carr. I was trying to revamp my career at that point, just try to change the narrative around who I was as a quarterback. And they fired him before he got back on the bus to go back to Oakland. And I think a few days later, they were going to hire John Gruden. And I felt good about that because, I knew Gru from I think he had Gruden QB camp or something on ESPN. And I did well in that. So I thought, all right, I'll be good. I'll get re-signed. Great. And so March comes around, that's free agency in the NFL. They call me back. I had 2 other teams offer me, opportunities. And I ended up signing again with the Raiders. And so throughout that time, it was good and then it was not so good. And I felt like at times, I wasn't getting as many opportunities as I would have liked. And I felt like he was trying to also have a younger player kind of be that backup role, which again, in NFL, and you know this as a pro athlete, you kind of learn the business. You learn the business, and I was like, okay, cool, maybe this won't be the spot for me, I can go somewhere else, but they didn't release me. And so the 4th preseason game of that training camp, I get the start. We're playing the Seattle Seahawks, and probably had the best game of my career. Literally, I was 18 to 22, I remember the stat line, 18 to 22, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Great game. And I played the first 3 quarters, got out of there. So I was like, yeah, I got the backup job. I'm good. Okay, cool. And so I actually had a condo in Los Angeles at the time that I was renovating. Took that weekend off, go down to LA, and I get a call from the assistant GM on that day off. And he's like, EJ, you in town? And I was like, nah, I'll be back tomorrow morning, get started with the season. Because again, I thought I made the team. He's like, all right, okay, well, we need you to come back today. Now, when you get a call like that, after a good game, you think maybe you can get a restructure of the contract or, a pay bump or something like that. So I was like, all right, cool, okay, good. I'll be back. I'll book the flight, made my way back to the airport. Then my agent called me, and I was like, hey, what's up, man? I'm all excited. He's like, hey, did they tell you the news? I was like, yeah. He's like, they tell you they were cutting you. I was like, oh, no, they didn't. You know what I mean? Like, it's all good. You can laugh. It is what it is. And I was like, nah. And so I ended up getting let go. But this also, again, taught me toughness. It taught me mental toughness. And, I went through a lot in the NFL. I really did. A lot of good, a lot of bad. And it's funny, and again, this is more of a message for you young guys, man. Like, I think at that time, this is when, social media was getting more popular. And you read comments, and you see good things, but then you see 1 or 2 bad ones, and it hurts. It's like, God, you end up kind of dwelling on the bad. And I did that in Buffalo. I allowed my confidence to slip, and this is me being very transparent with my family here as I'm sharing this with you guys. And just more of a message for somebody else out there as you hear it. I remember letting my confidence slip, and I was in a very, very dark place. Like, I actually went through a depression, like legit, like I was not okay. And I ended up seeing therapy, and that's why I say I relied on my relationship with God to really get me back to just being a normal person. And thank God I even got through my career at that time because I was in such a rough spot. But I remember, this is where I really learned the business, and you meet with the GM, you meet with your offensive coordinator, you meet with your QB coach as you're heading out of the facility. And I met all those guys, and hey man, you're gonna get signed tomorrow, man. You had a great preseason, da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, cool, I agree. And then I would have thought I would meet with John Gruden, the head coach, you know what I mean? Just to say bye. And nah, they tried to escort me out, but I said, no, I'm gonna go say bye to coach real quick. And I'll never forget, I knocked on his door, and he kind of acted like he was on his computer, like didn't want to say nothing to me. I was like, hey coach, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate it before I headed out. And then, again, he just came, hey man, you're a great guy. So again, I took that as a moment of like, you really gotta take the horns of your own career in your own life as well. And there's always gonna be opposition, in life. It's not always gonna be perfect. It's not always gonna be touchdowns. It's not always gonna be hand claps. It's not always gonna be everybody cheering you on. But I think what it taught me was perseverance. It taught me to create other options for myself, because once that happened, I said, okay, well, what's my plan B? Even though I still wanted to play football, what's my plan B? And while I had that time off from playing football because I was a free agent, I took an interview with ESPN and the ACC network that was launching later that summer. Did 2 auditions, did well. And they were like, hey, well, we want you to come and be with us. And so didn't play that season. Kansas City called me, and they signed me that February going into 2019. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep playing. This will be my 7th season. And I go there. Now, mind you, I had 3 or 4 meniscus injuries throughout this time, throughout my career too. So those were starting to kind of wear on me. And I go there, April, May, June. And ESPN was like, hey, well, look, are you gonna come work and do TV, or should we hire somebody else? And so I prayed on it. I thought about it hard for at least 2 or 3 weeks. Kind of asked myself, hey, if Patrick Mahomes goes down right now based off how my knee is recovering, do I think I can lead this team for 16, 7 weeks? And this is also a Super Bowl team. They did win the Super Bowl that year. And I was honest with myself, and I was like, I don't feel good enough, okay? And I ended up telling Coach Reed, like just how you guys are sitting down, face-to-face, across his desk. I remember it was a Monday morning. I was like, hey, Coach Reed, I'm gonna go move on and do TV. He's like, what do you mean, you gonna do some media today? I was like, nah, I'm actually gonna forego my career here and start a TV job. And he's like, you sure? And I said, yes, sir. And he respected my decision. He told me, I wish I had you when you were younger, because we could have really helped you and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I appreciate everything. But I ended up taking a leap of faith and going into my 2nd career, which again was a part of my degree. And I've been doing it ever since. I love it, I enjoy it. I appreciate y'all for supporting me in that. I try to get better every time. I know I make mistakes, of course. But again, it's something that I enjoy, and it's a lot of fun. So that's kind of like my quick story in a nutshell. There's a whole bunch of little details in there, but that's kind of how I became a ACC Network and ESPN analyst. And I actually still know I could still play if I really wanted to, but I'm just yeah, it's all good. Thank God. So this is a message, and I put these thoughts together a few days ago, and just wanted to give some messages because I knew Hugh had said there would be some young athletes here that would be receiving awards. So just, you can receive it or you don't have to listen. It's all good. But I just want to share it. So my biggest, advice that I would give to my younger self when I was a junior, senior in high school, ask questions. There is no such thing as a dumb question. I think the more questions you ask, the more you will learn in life. I think that is so important. It's something my dad always taught me. There's never a such thing as a dumb question. It's not about who you know. I genuinely believe it's about who knows you. And who will answer the phone for you if you need a favor, or who will answer the phone if you need to get, bailed out of something, if you need help with something. And I say that to say you got to cultivate relationships. So when you meet people, say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. It takes 5 seconds to change somebody's day just by saying something nice. Always bet on yourself. Again, you'll run into opposition throughout your journey. But the belief in you has to be bigger than anybody else's, than yours. It has to be bigger than your moms, your dads, your coaches, anybody. You have to believe in yourself. Don't get caught up with instant gratification. I think now we live in a world where you can Google an answer for a test. I can send a text to my wife right now. I can go on Instagram and look up what LeBron is doing right now. Like, we really have everything, kind of the world at our fingertips. And I think it's so important to instill that to even us older people, not to say nobody older here, sorry. But even us grown adults, I think it's so important for us not to get caught up in instant gratification. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fail. You know, I think the best learning lessons I've had have been through failure. When I've messed up, when I've thrown an interception. I saw cover 3 and I thought I could fit it in there, but I couldn't do it. So I won't do that again. I won't make that mistake twice. Or I made that decision and went through that door. Shouldn't have did that. Let me turn around and go this way. So it's okay to fail because, again, you always have a learning lesson from that. Speak up for yourself. This is your career. This is your life. This is your education. This is your story. You be the author of your own story. Tell mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, cousin, big bro, big sis that you love them. I think that's so important to share love, to give love to people that care about you, that want good for you. When one door closes, another door usually opens. So always be prepared for that next opportunity. Create options for yourself. Again, it takes 5 seconds to change somebody's life or to get somebody's card and cultivate that relationship. This is another one that I think is actually good. I'm laughing reading it now. When you can, buy property. When you can buy property, real estate is one of the best things you can have as an asset. And also, remember, you matter. You matter. We all matter in this room. We really all matter in this room, whether we, have a rough day and, you're in bumper-to-bumper traffic and somebody's cussing you out, you still matter. All right, you still can have a smile on your face. And also, use your gift. We're all blessed with a gift. We really are. Whether it's to throw a football, whether it's to run a business, whether it's to hire people, whether it's to be a bus driver, whatever it is, use your gift that God gave you to the best of your ability. And then again, spread love, not hate. And that's me in a nutshell, man. I am just so grateful to be here. It's always nice to come home to my family. And I'm so also happy that our team is doing great this year. And I will say this on behalf of the players. You guys are why we do it. For real, because it's hard. Again, when we have these tour days, and well, I guess they don't have 2 days anymore. They're getting soft, but when you're running the stadiums and all that kind of stuff, in all seriousness, to know that you have the crowd behind you. I remember going to media day, and that's actually how I think I met Miss Billy. She just gave me a big hug. I didn't know her. I was like, man, this lady's so nice to me, and got my email, just always checked in on me. Beyond football, that's why I think that's special, and I appreciate you for that. But again, you guys mean so much to me, so much to us as Florida State players, and God bless y'all. Thank you. Q&A? Yes, sir.
One thing I love about it, the last 3 years here, you outscored Miami by 35. We won all 3 games.
Yep.
You outscored the Gators by 25.
Yep.
So you went 5-1 against these guys. But can you tell us the best lesson you learned from Coach Bowden, best lesson maybe from Jimbo,
Yep.
maybe the best pro lesson?
Best lesson from Coach Bobby Bowden. C. Ward might agree with this one. So I remember as a freshman being on the scout team, and as a scout team quarterback, you think you don't matter, but you actually really do. You're actually getting the defense prepared for whatever opponent we're playing that week. So if we're playing Maryland, I'm wearing a Maryland helmet, I'm trying to be like their quarterback. If we're playing Florida, I'm trying to be like Tim Tebow. And really the best lesson I got from Coach Bowden on the football field was he would always tell me, hey, if you throw like a go ball, we all know that long go ball, never throw it out of bounds. Like he would always say, never throw a go ball out of bounds, keep it in bounds. And the worst thing that'll happen, you get a pass interference if you throw it short, right? Because then the receiver comes back, the DB ends up hitting him, you get a flag. So I remember that. As you asked that question, that was the first thing to come to mind. Do not throw a go ball out of bounds. I hate when I see guys do that because what a waste of a play. Coach Fisher, man, I spent a lot of time with Coach Fisher, a lot of time. He was really the one that recruited me here. He was a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator when I was in high school, and then became the head coach, as you guys know. And I think the biggest lesson really, man, was toughness. Jimbo coached us hard. He coached us hard. And he made practice so hard that when you got into a game, it was genuinely easy. Like, it was so easy. And you were able to just allow your talents to come to the light. And so your athleticism, your arm strength, all those things, because you were challenged so much in practice, to the point where if you threw a ball here, it needed to be here. Even though it was a completion, Jimbo, and I was like, okay. And then, but really, that level of detail, I think helped me be a first-round pick. I genuinely do. I give him a lot of credit. I mean, I don't know how many coaches had 3 back-to-back first-rounders. I mean, you say what you want about our careers, but we all went in the first round. And Christian did it, I did it, and then Jameis did it. So I think that's pretty remarkable. My best lesson from the NFL, my best memory, my first victory ever, actually, against the Carolina Panthers, my rookie year. You guys may not know, but I had torn my meniscus for the first time in the second preseason game, so that was in August. And I remember getting surgery the day after, and I thought maybe I'm out for 4 or 5 weeks, which is standard for a meniscus. And they was like, hey, we need you back in like 2 weeks. I was like, wow, okay, that's the NFL. And so did my best, and I was a yes sir guy, wanted to please. And again, looking back, if that was my son, I'm like, nah, shut him down. He was a first round pick, let him get healthy to start his career, whatever. So go out there, we played Tom Brady, the first game ever. We're winning. TB gets the ball back with like 1:20 left. They go down, kick a field goal, and they beat us. But my second game, which is the first victory, throw a touchdown or a game-winning pass to Stevie Johnson against Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly and all those guys. So that was a fond memory of mine, and it was like an 80-yard drive to do it. So great memory. Yeah. The lesson, just keep fighting, I guess. You know what I mean? Just keep fighting. It's not over till it's over. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How do you think Jimbo is doing at Texas A&M?
Good question. Well, here's the thing. I mean, I know he's done well in recruiting, and I know that with NIL, that was all the talk last year. We talked about it on the radio a lot, and they didn't have the result that they wanted. I have love for Jimbo, man. I mean, he was one that got me here. I felt like he helped raise me in a way. But as far as how he's doing there, not as good as Florida State. I'll just put it like that. They're not undefeated. Miami blasted them. And now he's playing with Max Johnson, who is Mark Richt's nephew, if you guys didn't know that. He's his quarterback now as their backup. Their starter got hurt. So I think he's doing the best he can. The SEC is tough, but the ACC is tough as well. So I'll put it like that. Yes, ma'am.
Along that same vein, do you have a Coach Trickett story that you can tell?
Ooh, yes, I do. Yes. All right, this one doesn't involve me. Okay, so what kind of? My roommate, my freshman year, was Zebri Sanders, and we lived at Burt Reynolds Hall. Shout out to Burt. Did you live at Burt too? Yeah, we all did. And so if anyone's been into Burt, you walk in the door, it's a living room, you have a TV, couch, you walk a couple more steps, and then the kitchen, bathroom, a couple more steps further back, that was the bedroom, all right? And Coach Trickett would have these 5:30 in the morning meetings, like when we would normally, as a team, meet in the afternoon. Like we had classes from 8 until, I guess, 1. But he would make the O-line go early. I'll never forget Zebri, who played as a freshman actually, forgot to set his alarm. And Zebri woke up, I think, maybe from my alarm, because I was getting up to go to workouts or something at, 6:30, and his meeting started at 6. And so I'm getting up, and he looked at the clock thinking like it's okay, and I guess he kind of realized that he was late. And when I say I've seen a man that's 6'6", 350 pounds get up and out the door so fast, it was probably the quickest I've ever seen him move in his life. He woke up in a panic, felt so bad for him. I think he cried, in fact. I'm not making fun of him, but I felt so bad for him. And Coach Trickett did not care. Like he still made him run stadiums, do bear crawls, all that kind of stuff on the ground. But beside, that awful story for Zebri, Coach Trickett, was such a tough guy. I think the first time I actually saw him cry, first and only time I saw him cry, is when Rodney Hudson was leaving Florida State. Like he loved Hud so much. And we all knew that Hud was his favorite. Because again, he would yell at all of us, cuss at us, say choice words to us. But he never did that to Rodney. So those are, again, some fond memories that come up about Coach Trickett. But also I will say, he took care of me because he got the offensive line prepared for us quarterbacks so we could have time to throw and run and all that kind of stuff. So great man. I got a lot of respect for Coach Trickett. Great guy.
So I think we're favored the rest of this season. What is a trap game that you think maybe like a road maybe?
Let me pull up the schedule then. Hold on. Let's talk. Okay. You a DraftKings guy? Are you a FanDuel guy? Okay, you're talking about favorites. Let's see. Hold on, let's look at it. Let's talk. Let's see. Let me pull up this.
Pittsburgh. I know they're not.
Okay, so let's talk about that. We got Virginia Tech here at home, dub. Syracuse at home, dub. Duke at home, dub. Wake Forest on the road, dub. Pitt on the road, and I'll say this, in all seriousness. Pitt on the road, they're struggling. Pitt is struggling. The quarterback is not playing well. Coach Narduzzi hasn't made a change at this point. It's 3 games now, so I don't see him making a change. Truthfully, I think the options behind him aren't better. The trap game could be, y'all, Miami. Yeah, I know. Miami's pretty good. Miami's pretty good this year, and it's here. And not to say that's a trap game, because it's always a good game, because it's a rivalry, because that game simply just means more. But I think that is a game that we're going to have to bring. You know, it's going to be like a Clemson matchup. The Boston College game, personally, I think that was a good game for us because it built character. I think it was our first road matchup where we knew, okay, hey, nobody's going to lay down for us. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're top 5 in the country. You got Jordan Travis, all these great players. But guys want to make their name off of us as a Florida State team. We always knew that. C-Road, I'm sure you experienced that. Funny enough, I remember going to the NFL, and if somebody beat Florida State, it was almost like their Super Bowl. I'm like, bro, what's the big deal? It's just one game. Like, why are you in my face about this? You know what I mean? But I realized that we're that brand, seriously. And not to sound arrogant, but Florida State, being a Seminole is a big deal, man. And there's a lot of players that wish they could have come here to play. And so I think that's something that this team has learned. And it's nice to not play your best games and still win. So I think that showed up in Boston College. It also showed up against against Clemson on the road. But I think that Miami game is going to be one we got to bring our hard hat, for sure.
Quick observation and then a question. I love the clip with Eric McLean where he's taking the fight song. But my favorite clip is when there was a live camera when you were at the desk with Eric and with Coach Rick. And it was, you were watching the LSU game from last year, and after the blocked extra point, you guys went bananas.
Oh, yeah. I went bananas. Yeah.
The question is this. Your senior year here at Florida State was Jameis's freshman year. He was redshirted, and I'm sure you were asked to serve as a mentor to that frisky young freshman. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, so I call him J-Boo, okay? J-A-B-O-O. J-Boo is a special talent, plain and simple. Can play football, can play baseball, can't play basketball, so y'all tell him I said that. He is not a hooper. But yeah, that time was cool because Jameis was, young, like every freshman. Young and mature, like I was at that age. Wasn't taking it as serious because he knew he was a redshirt that year. And I remember Coach Craig, our quarterback coach at the time, we'd be doing quarterback drills and Jameis be over there playing around or doing something. And, JB, come on, man. Like, come on, you know what I mean? And I think that was really good for me and for him because I saw a lot of myself in him, as a player, as a person. Similar family, his dad, he and his dad are tight, and so are my dad and I. Same with his mom. But I remember having some real talks, you know what I mean? And talking to him, especially once I left, because now it was his team. And if we hadn't lost to NC State that year, we would have been in the natty. And I understand we lost to Florida too, but I really think we had a national championship level team in 2012. And when I left, I told him, I was like, yo, you finished the unfinished business. And he did. Boy, he did. Boy, did he. He had probably the best freshman season, I think, ever, or one of the best. And so, I'm not going to take credit for what Jameis did at all because he earned every single thing that he's gotten. But, just that friendship, that brotherhood, that bond, I think me leading by example, getting up in front of the team, talking to our team before we played. Like, Jimbo didn't have to do a lot of that for us at that point. I did it. Telvin Smith did it. LaMarcus Joyner would do it. Cam Irving at times would do it, offensive lineman. And then, like I said, once I moved on, Jameis obviously took over with that and also would get the team riled up. So I'm sure he probably learned from me just by watching. But, a lot of fun, a lot of good memories. And, I got his jersey up in my house, the Heisman jersey in my crib, and I'm so proud of him, even now that he's still playing and doing his thing. So great young man, family man as well. Got a beautiful family, wife and kids. So he's doing it the right way. Very proud of him. Drag, yeah.
Jimbo's known for his play calling on his playbook, slow developing plays, especially downfield, and the route trees and receivers all had to memorize everything like that. My question is, when that play came in, what were your thoughts prior to the call, and then how did you see it unfold as it happened on the game?
So that play he's talking about specifically, it was a touchdown pass to Rashad Green. And to be honest, I didn't do a whole lot. Like Rashad did the rest, as you know, in that play. But when that play call came in, we just wanted 10 yards. We wanted a first down at that point because, again, it was third down, hostile environment in Lane Stadium. It was cold. We're Florida boys. I know I'm from Virginia, but my blood has gotten thin since I moved down here to Florida. And we go on the road to Blacksburg. Really hard place to play, especially at that time of the year. And they were good that year, too. Virginia Tech was really, really good. And when the play call came in, we broke the huddle and said, hey, somebody, let's be great. I literally remember saying that, like, somebody make a play, let's be great. And didn't know who it would be, whether it would be me or Devontae Freeman, Chris Thompson, Rashard Green. We had a great team, man. We had so many good players. And, everybody dropped back. They went to drop 8 defensively, which is you just had 3 guys rushing, the rest of them just DBs dropping back. And everybody was covered deep. Rashad came in on that low drag, kind of late delayed drag, and caught the ball, made 2 guys miss. The rest was history. And he ran it in for a touchdown. That game was really special for me because, again, I'm from Virginia, right? So the fans of Virginia Tech been getting at me forever, especially up until that point because they beat us in 2010 in the ACC championship game. And I'll tell y'all this is, whatever. I remember in 2010, before the game, I'm warming up, and they're like, skinny leg EJ. I was like, hey, man, shut up. You know what I mean? Like, talking about my calves. But in all seriousness, I'll never forget that. And it was a good game. It was going back and forth. But, that's some banter I've always had with the Virginia Tech people because they were mad when I left VA and came here to Florida State. So I'm glad we got them in their house before we wrap that up. Yeah.
What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Woo, good one. Okay, so second victory of my career, which was the third game. We played the Baltimore Ravens, and we were beating them. And I think the Ravens had won the Super Bowl the year before, or maybe the year before that, all right, when they played in New Orleans. Remember the lights went out and all that kind of stuff, that Super Bowl. And Terrell Suggs had been talking trash to me the whole game. And it's funny, like when you get in the league, you watch these guys on TV as a kid and you end up playing against them. So it's kind of weird. It's like you almost want to ask them for an autograph, but at the same time, they're your counterparts. They're trying to rip your head off, literally. And so I remember our offensive coordinator was like, hey man, look, Nathaniel Hackett, by the way, now the Jets. He said, I want you to take a knee, but when you get the ball, and just so y'all know, you have a mic in your helmet in the NFL. So he was saying all this in my helmet. When you get the ball, instead of just going straight down for a knee, take like 5 seconds off the clock, like pause a little bit. And for most NFL guys, especially a young rookie, defensive ends don't like that, especially all pros, okay? So I get the snap, I go back, I'm holding, and all I know is out of the corner of my eye, Terrell Suggs comes around. Anybody know who Terrell Suggs is? Y'all know who that is, right? Yeah. He comes around the edge, literally doesn't tackle my body, like rips off my helmet. And all my chin strap, everything, I thought I broke my nose, but my nose all bloody. What a way to get my second victory, right? I had to earn that one. But that was a great NFL moment. Another one real quick. First game ever, like I said, was against the New England Patriots. And, playing against Tom Brady, the GOAT, in my eyes. Like, literally the best to ever do it. Almost beat him, had a good game. Threw 2 touchdowns in that game, one to Robert Woods, another to Stevie Johnson. Had him on the ropes. Again, he had that 2-minute drive. But the welcome to the NFL moment was him calling me by my first name, like at the 50 after the game, even though we lost. Kind of like re-energized me, if I'm being honest. See what I'm sure you felt that way in the NBA, you know what I mean? And just seeing guys like that come and treat you like a counterpart was really special. Got a bunch more, but those 2 come to mind. Get my helmet ripped off and beating Tom Brady. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, family update. So I have a son on the way. Thank you. Yeah. God is good, for real. I got a baby boy on the way. My wife is 16 weeks pregnant. I also have a 16-month-old daughter. Her name is Sakima. And I have a 17-year-old stepson as well. So I got quite the spectrum of family. But I'm so blessed as well. And, let me give some credit to my wife as well, because, marriage is, it's fun, but also it is challenging. We can all be honest about that. It takes work. And I have a strong woman by my side. It's funny how we met too. I won't get into all of that. But she knows nothing about football. Like, she's from Europe. She came to Miami like 10 years ago. We met down there, and great woman, great mom. But yeah, we got a son on the way. His name's gonna be Zion Eric Manuel. Didn't want to do Eric III because that can be messed up with bills and all kind of stuff. I had that issue with my dad. But we're gonna call him E3. So y'all give me 17 years. I'm gonna have him ready to be alone. My daughter too. And but thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Love y'all. Thank you.
That was wonderful, EJ. Y'all, was he a great Seminole and a great night? Thank you. Thanks for making us wait 3 years too. Have a good night, everybody.